Hey everybody, this is Keith Niebuhr with Gators Online and On 3, and I am in Gainesville, Florida. Now, after a busy official weekend for the Florida Gators, I'm going to give you a quick recap of all 13 official visitors. Now, obviously, all the juice, all the good stuff is going to be at gatorsonline.com, and you're going to want to go there and check it out. We've got a special promotion right now, $1 gets you in for that first month. But again, Florida hosted 13 official visitors this weekend. 12 in the 2025 class, and one, believe it or not, in the 2024 class. He is going to be in a late enrollee somewhere, and it might be the University of Florida. So let's get started. 1 through 13 here really fast. Waltez Clark, 4-star Florida Gators running back commit from Tampa Plant. He is locked in with the Florida Gators. He said after this visit, all indications are it went excellent. He said, hey, I'm solid today, and I was solid the day I committed, and I haven't wavered ever since. No more visits for Waltez Clark. That is big news for the Florida Gators. Now, this is another big recruit. 4-star legacy recruit, receiver Vernell Brown III. Now, he was on this official visit this weekend with his father, who obviously played at the University of Florida, and before that, Gainesville High School. He was here with other family members, and also there was a photo shoot during the official visit weekend in which his grandfather, the first Vernell Brown, took part in, and his grandfather played defensive back for the Florida Gators back in the early 80s. So, big weekend for the Brown family, big weekend for Vernell Brown. So you're asking, where do things stand? Well, he's not really tipping his hand. It's a Final Four of Florida, Florida State, Miami, which he just visited as well, and Florida State, which he will officially visit next weekend. But right now, most people seem to think the Gators are in a favorable spot. He bonded with the staff, he bonded with the players, and he feels like the program is moving in the right direction. For Vernell Brown, a summer decision awaits. Next up, 4-star safety Hilton Stubs. Hilton Stubs, you know that name. He's at Jacksonville Mandarin, but he's committed to the USC Trojans for now. Now, some people don't think he's 100% locked in. He said after this visit to Florida, hey, I'm still pretty solid to USC, but Florida is giving him something to think about, he admitted. Florida's making it real close. The Gators are the #2 team right now. He's going to take this recruitment into the fall to see how all these schools do on the field. Miami, we should mention, also is in the mix with Hilton Stubs. Next up, Bryce Fitzgerald, a 4-star safety. Christopher Columbus High School. I believe they won the state championship last year out of Miami, Florida. Bryce has a Final Four of Florida State, LSU, Miami, and Florida. But then we dug a little deeper and he said, hey, Florida State probably have separated a little bit at this time. Still has another visit to go, but Florida sitting in a strong spot with Bryce Fitzgerald, but we don't know who the team to beat is. We've heard mixed things that it could be FSU, it could be potentially Miami, but Florida solidly in it with Bryce Fitzgerald. 4-star edge Cedric Works from Ohio was in this weekend. The other teams to watch in his recruitment are Kentucky and Penn State. He's officially visited Penn State, and I believe he's going to be at Kentucky next week. This visit went well. His first trip to Gainesville, he didn't really know much about Gainesville or the University of Florida other than what the Florida coaches and edge coach, Mike Peterson being one, had told him over the telephone. So he said, look, it was good for me to get this experience. It's not just over the phone anymore. I've got a good frame of reference. I understand what the university and what Gainesville are all about. It's probably a summer decision for Cedric Works. Really hard to tell if anybody has the edge right now with 4-star edge Cedric Works, but Florida's certainly in his top 3, he said. Or actually, he didn't officially say that. He said those are the 3 schools he's focusing on: Florida, Kentucky, Penn State. Next up, offensive tackle Tavaris Dice, 4-star Auburn commit from Langston Hughes High School just west of Atlanta. Florida made a big push. He says, look, they're giving me a lot to think about, but he does not know right now if Florida can flip Auburn or not. But it was impressive, he said. This whole experience, he's really clicking with everybody down in Gainesville. It's never easy to flip someone, though. And obviously Auburn is just right down the road, but Florida is battling. Those are really the only 2 schools in it, Florida and Auburn. Right now, you'd probably give Auburn a little edge because he is still committed to them, and he was just there last weekend. But Florida has made another push and is right back in the game, and we expect his decision probably could go into the fall. Like, he's going to keep riding this thing out, and I don't know that he's going to take a lot more visits, but he kind of wants to see where things go before he entirely shuts it down. And that should be, if you're Florida, that's encouraging, because the worst thing you'd want him to say is, it's over, I'm done. The best thing, obviously, would be, hey, I'm flipping to Florida, but he's not there. He's not at that point. But he's not at the point of shutting it down in favor of Auburn either. Another Auburn commit, 4-star defensive lineman Malik Autry, was in town this weekend. And that one's sort of an interesting one too, because Florida has always felt like if anybody could flip him from Auburn, it would be them. This was his either 7th or 8th trip. That's right, 7th or 8th trip to Gainesville. So he clearly likes the University of Florida. However, he did just visit Southern Cal, I believe a week ago, and there was some real optimism coming out of Los Angeles after that visit. So is this just a young guy that makes everybody feel like they have a shot, or do the Florida Gators legitimately have a chance? We don't know, because he declined to be interviewed after this visit. So we're gonna have to dig into that a little bit this week. Again, go to GatorsOnline.com and hopefully we can get you some more of those answers. Next up, this is a big one. Taven Wallace, 4-star linebacker from Georgia. Grew up a Gator fan. His dad is such a diehard Gator fan that he's got a truck with Gator stuff all over it, and once had another truck painted in orange and blue. Florida made a big move with Taven Wallace. Coming into this visit, the Gators trailed, and I know it's getting windy, the Gators trailed Florida State. Now he says it's 1A and 1B, and he couldn't tell you who was 1A or 1B. They're neck and neck. He visits Florida State next week. That's obviously the big concern, but Florida has made a big move with 4-star linebacker Taven Wallace. 4-star safety Lonza Hayward, another player. And it sounds like we're overly optimistic, but we're just repeating what the players are telling us. And obviously we have our own sources as well. But Lonza Hayward, 4-star safety from Toombs County, Georgia. The beginning of the summer, Tennessee led. Then it was Georgia. Then it was South Carolina. Now he says, hey, Florida has moved in front after this visit with South Carolina next. And he still has one more official visit coming. And I honestly can't recall. Actually, it's to Tennessee. So there could be more movement in this recruitment. But Florida solidly in the picture with 4-star safety Lonza Hayward, a player who is solidly built and they love. I mean, 6'1.5", 205 pounds, big-time safety. Donovan Olugbode, 4-star receiver from Bradenton IMG Academy, left first thing this morning. Corey Bender of Gators Online was able to catch up with him on the telephone, and says Florida's in it, says the visit went well. He's saying a lot of the right things. Florida's telling him, look, there's a real opportunity to get on the field early, but we continue to hear that Southern Cal and Missouri are probably the teams to watch. We need to do a little bit more digging there, and we're going to work on that over the next few days. But perhaps a 3-team race with Washington all in it. But Southern Cal, Missouri, Florida, and maybe Washington, and we believe I think he still has an official visit coming to Missouri. Don't hold me to that, though. Next up, Ty Jackson, #1 linebacker in the country for On 3. He's from Seminole Ridge High School down, I believe, in Palm Beach County, Loxahatchee. Great player. This is his third visit to Florida this year. He was originally supposed to officially visit Florida State this weekend, but instead got rid of that visit and came to Gainesville. So a significant win for Florida on that front. Sources tell us that the visit went excellent. Sources from inside his inner circle and outside his circle and say that Florida put a big step forward here, made a big step forward, and is really solidly in this recruitment. Now, we'll see. You always have to dig a few days later and what's really going on. He declined to do interviews. He didn't decline. I'm sorry. He left without doing an interview, kind of snuck out of here. And fantastic player, though. But we think, Florida may have a chance there. We're going to have to sniff that one out a little bit more, however. Kaden Pining is a 3-star tight end committed to UCF. He was the only 3-star recruit who visited this weekend. 11 of the players that we just mentioned, all 11 of the players we just mentioned were 4-stars. He said the visit was great. The Florida showed him he could fit into this program. But when asked what he would rate this visit, he said an 8. When asked what he would rate his recent UCF official visit, he said a 10. So just based off that, and you can't only base things off that. Again, you have to make some calls and see where things stand. But you would think that, Florida's in a pretty good position with some other tight ends. Maybe not in a great spot with him, but we will see. Things tend to change fast in recruiting. And lastly, that's 12 guys in the 2024 class. We have, 2025 class, and we have one prospect in the 2024 class, and that is an unranked offensive tackle, Jazir Jackson. He has not played football since he was in the 8th grade in San Diego. He then played basketball at IMG Academy and then played semi-pro basketball for Overtime Elite. He is 6'11", 330 pounds, and he visited Florida last week, camped for the Gator staff, says they offered. They brought him back for an official visit, and it went well. And he says, hey, look, going into the visit, he said Florida was his #1. Coming out of the visit, he said Florida's #1, and it's a good lead. However, he does go to Florida State, Mississippi State, and Georgia in the next couple of weeks. Hopes to have a decision in about 2 weeks. That would be a late addition to the 2024 class. A bit of a project, obviously, but 6'11", 330, unbelievable reach, high IQ, great footwork from playing basketball all those years, an intriguing prospect, one that you would certainly say, let's give it a shot, because if he pans out, he could potentially be something special.